Hello everybody and welcome back to Typical City. We're back, top of the league, where we belong, and that lasted long, didn't it, Arsenal? Very long indeed. All those celebrations quickly put to bed after beating Manchester City. What real title contenders do, they go on a winning streak. They go and win their next game at least. That's what they do. They don't go and put in a flaky performance like that and get a lucky 2-2 draw out of the game after being gifted a first goal and then a second goal out of nothing. Chelsea should have absolutely won that game, and yet here we are finding ourselves back top of the league after Arsenal, according to their fans, they won the league last week. This week, 9 games in with 29 games to go, they're not top of the league anymore. They weren't, to be fair. And we could lose our top spot to Spurs, of course, but we are top of the league again. And all it takes is 1 week and we're back to square one again and celebrating being above Arsenal, and Arsenal fans going back to shitting themselves and worrying about Manchester City again. So it's a fickle game, isn't it? Very fickle game that we support right now. But player ratings, before I do get into the player ratings after yesterday's performance against Brighton, I do want to highlight the statistics because I think people are saying it's a game of two halves and City are becoming a team of two halves right now, and they're absolutely right. And I've got the stats to prove it. So let's have a look at the match stats overall. These are the full 90-minute stats of 55% possession to City to Brighton's 45%. 10 shots to their 5, 6 of ours were on target, 3 of theirs on target. The XG is quite low, isn't it? Lower than theirs, in fact, which is a little bit alarming. I think that's more of a pat on the back for Erling Haaland and Alvarez for taking those 2 chances, because the XG is below 1 and we ended up winning the game 2-1, and theirs was 0.83 to our 0.75, so not great, in truth, but big chances. 1 for us, 3 for them. Orga, heavily involved in one of those big chances, but I think he gave them one of the other chances as well. 609 passes to their 506, 9 fouls to their 11, 4 yellow cards and 2 for them and 1 red card. Discipline is becoming an issue. I know Darren is a subscriber of mine. He mentioned to me yesterday, and he's absolutely spot on, and I completely agree with him, that we are starting to show little signs of petulance. You know, Rodri getting another booking for kicking it away. He claimed he was trying to pass it back to the goalkeeper, but you know Rodri's accuracy. There's no way that was intended for the goalkeeper. That was just petulant, and he kicked it out. He kicked it away from Jason Steele, Brighton's goalkeeper. So it was petulant. Akanji, again, I mean, arguably you say, okay, the grab was probably worth it because Matoma was through on goal, or at least approaching our defence. It was a really dangerous opportunity for Brighton. He grabbed him, but he shouldn't have even been getting that first yellow card either. Silly little petulant moments, and we've already cost us points this season with these moments. Rodri in particular getting a 3-game suspension. We've got to cut it out, and that falls at the doorstep of Pep Guardiola. He's got to go and speak to these players and send them out with a fire in their belly, you know, send them out with purpose. I'm not saying kill their spirit and say don't go out there with a spark in your game. Obviously not, but manage it, you know, control your temper a little bit. Think about these silly decisions. Kovacic nearly got us costed another game suspension where he should have been sent off against Arsenal. So these moments, the fact that he'd just been booked, and it really should have been a straight red, that first one, we got away with that. And then 10 minutes later, he's going flying in again. Where's the thinking? You've got to come cooler than that. You've got to be calmer and more composed than that. Anyway, first half stats show how dominant we were, and this is why it was a game of two halves, and City were brilliant in that first half. Fantastic. Probably the best first half performance. And we have to remember we're going up against Brighton. It's not like some minnow that we're playing. We're playing a proper Premier League outfit that take points off the big boys. Brighton beat big teams. And I mean, I say big teams, they beat United at Old Trafford, but they're not a big team anymore, are they? But still, they beat them comfortably as well, comfortably. So Brighton are not to be messed with. 63% in the first half to their 37%, 5 shots to their 1, 3 on target for us to their 1 on target. The XG is not great, still not great, but clinical again, 0.41. But look at that for Brighton. That's how much we controlled the game. You can see it in the possession, you can see it in the big chances and the XG. 0.05 XG for Brighton. And no big chances, of course. 368 passes to their 215, 3 fouls to their 4, 1 yellow card each, and no red cards yet. Anyway, until the second half rolls along. Second half, different script. The game was flipped, and it wasn't the greatest performance in that second half. I don't think we were bad. Brighton upped their game, and their quality shone through in that second half, and they definitely took the game by the scruff of the neck to the best of their ability, and they missed chances. And, you know, we could be coming away with another dropped point situation. Could have been a draw, could have even lost the game, going off of the number of chances that they had. But 45 possession, to their 55%, 5 shots. So we're still getting chances, though. That was a good thing about the second half yesterday. We still had the same amount of shots as we did in the first half, which is good news from a chance creation point of view. To their 4 shots and 2 on target, 3 on target for ourselves, 0.35 XG to their 0.78. So their XG skyrocketed in that second half, mainly through that Matoma chance. You can see 3 big chances in the second half, 241 passes to their 291. So they controlled the second half better than we did. It was close. It's not like we were dominated, but they controlled it better than we did. 6 fouls to their 7, 3 yellow cards, again petulance, and a red card, again petulance. Now, straight into the player ratings. Ortega. Now we've found out what Pep was thinking. It's purely resting Ederson because of the international break and the amount of travelling that Ederson's done. That must be a mental fatigue thing, because a physical fatigue thing for a goalkeeper doesn't really exist, to be honest, does it? They don't do much running. They don't really need to be worried about in that regard. But mental fatigue is probably why Pep Guardiola started Ortega ahead of him. Distribution, there you can see it straight away. Let's jump straight to that. With his full 90 minutes played, 61 touches, but 70% passing accuracy. A bit wayward. One in particular that was a little dinky ball over to Doku. You're hoping that you've got to be more assured than that. I think it was Veltman who intercepted the pass and sends Pascal Gross through, who missed. That was one of their 3 big chances in the second half. He does pull off a good save, though. A save that was measured and mature in his goalkeeping experience that he used to get to the edge of the area, not come out of the area, made himself big. A presence was felt. Matoma panicked, didn't know what to do. A more composed finish would have been a little dink over Ortega, having come out of his goal so far, and he probably would have been getting Brighton back into the game sooner, but still, he made the save, Ortega, so, his distribution was poor. I think he was giving it away. We got away with quite a few with Ortega as well, so his score goes down for that, but a big save that helps us. He got 2 saves, 1 high claim, no punches, and 1 run out. And I thought it was okay. That distribution needs to be better next time, and the reason why Ederson plays more often than not. Kyle Walker, 90 minutes played, 77 touches, 89% passing accuracy, a tackle, 2 interceptions, a clearance. He was dribbled past 3 times, which was a worry, and he won 1 aerial duel. But I'm still happy with his performance. He was okay. It's those 3 dribble pass that's alarming, because you normally see 0 for that for Kyle Walker, don't you? 1 is why they scored when Matoma beat him and got that cross in, which we didn't deal with, and Ansu Fati was able to pick up the loose pieces from Akanji not being able to deal with it. But still, their defensive stats, that's what I want to see. Kyle Walker's defensive stats. I'm not interested in what he does going forward, because we know he's not the greatest going forward. He's not bad, it's just not his game. Seeing him as part of a back 3 as a centre-back, as the right side of a 3 centre-backs with John Stone stepping forward, I felt more at home. Kyle Walker looked more assured, albeit that 3 dribble past is why his score isn't as high as it could be. That's one area of his game you expect, 0 for Kyle Walker normally. He never gets beaten, but to be beaten 3 times. But then again, it's Matoma. He's a box of tricks, a very skillful player. So 6.5 for Kyle Walker. Akanji, I thought, again, look at that. That's why Pep keeps picking him. 100% passing accuracy, and he had a high number of passes as well. And they weren't just sideways passes as well. I can't fit all these stats on one graphic for you. But a lot of those were long balls, accurate long balls. That is what you want to see, diagonal passes. And to keep it at 100%, really impressive. No key passes, a tackle, no interceptions and 2 clearances, no block shots. So not much of a great defensive performance, but you can't be doing silly things and getting yourself a red card. So I thought he did well, got himself, his score went up, but that red card's brought him back down to a 6 for me. We lost him for the Manchester derby. A bit gutted, to be honest. He needs to improve in that aspect, but again, I think his performance was overall, outside of the red card, decent. Gvardiol rapidly becoming, one of our best defenders right now. He really is putting in good performances. I thought he was I gave him man of the match against Arsenal, as in terms of City players at least. I thought he was our best player against Arsenal. I thought he was really good yesterday. Dealt with everything that came our way. I was so glad to see him on the pitch, and he was dealing with things, especially with Brighton mounting a bit of a threat towards the end of the game. He was a lot of what was preventing that from happening. 90 minutes played, 94 touches, 90% passing accuracy, an aerial duel, 2 clearances, 4 interceptions, 2 tackles, and he beat a player. Really good performance from Gvardiol, 7.5. John Stones. A bit of a quiet game from John Stones. He was in midfield, which is odd to see so few touches. 49 touches being in the middle of the park. You don't normally see that. Quite a low number in the touch department, but still 100% passing accuracy, 0 passes, key passes, no shots on target or at all. 1 tackle, and he only lost the ball twice. Tried to beat a player, didn't. I think a 7 is a reasonable score for John Stones because I think statistically, I don't think what we saw from him is going to be shown in his stats. I felt his presence yesterday, and passing the eye test, John Stones was a physical presence on that pitch yesterday. Positional sense was really good. I thought it was a good performance from him, so I've given him a 7, albeit his stats aren't glamorous. I still felt his presence on the pitch, and he complimented other players in real simple stuff, the real simple side of the game, and he did it impeccably, 100% passing accuracy, and he only gave the ball away twice. Really good from John Stones. 7 out of 10 for him. Same again with Rodri, a little bit more involvement, of course, 97 touches, so nearly double what John Stones has, and even still keeping it at 93% passing accuracy, 2 tackles, a clearance and interception, 1 successful dribble out of the 2 that he tried. He lost the ball 7 times. Again, I give Rodri a 7. Same again to Stones, really. I felt like he did really well. His presence was felt. Just that maturity in midfield, that assertiveness alongside John Stones. I felt together those two performed equal, really. I felt strong in the middle of the park, in particular in that first half. Second half, I think they struggled a little bit. There were a couple of times where they both got bypassed by some clever play, clever triangles and structural play from Brighton, and De Zerbi's tactics were really good to see in that second half from a Brighton perspective, where they were able to break through. There was one moment in particular where they outnumbered us on a counter-attack where it's 4-on-3. And our defence dealt with it really. Other than that, I thought defensive midfield looked solid yesterday. Bernardo Silva, a good performance. Again, I thought he was really good. Lots of 7s and 7.5s you're going to see today, which is a good sign of a good performance overall. You're not seeing any really standout glamorous performance from anyone really. One in particular was a standout performer. But other than that, I think everyone else was solid. 90 minutes played, 64 touches, 88% passing accuracy, 2 key passes, a tackle, a clearance, no shots, lost the ball 11 times. He kept things ticking over, Bernardo Silva, got involved. He was everywhere yesterday. I felt his presence again. It was a good performance from Bernardo Silva, so I've given him a 7. Phil Foden, I think that what stood out to me yesterday was his dribbling ability, and one in particular that's really ingrained in my memory. Let's jump straight to the bottom of that graphic because it's only once did he actually successfully beat any player out of the 2 times that he tried, but still it stood out. He glided past people yesterday. One in particular, again, that 78% passing accuracy, not the greatest, but I just felt like he was involved better than the statistics are suggesting. Now, the reason why I say that is because 3 key passes. You don't get key passes without trying the audacious, without trying the difficult pass, which is why the passing accuracy is so low. It's not so low, but it's still lower than the 80%. Normally, you want to keep it above 80%. He's dropped into the 70s, into 78, but he still managed to get 3 key passes, which for me, I think he was involved in a lot of our good play in that first half. Everything seemed to come through Phil Foden, drifting inside a little bit, predominantly staying out wide on the right, but given license to drift inside. I thought he was a really good performance. 1 interception, he lost the ball 16 times. 1 shot not on target, similar to Bernardo Silva, so I've given him a 7. Onto Julian Alvarez. I was a bit critical of him yesterday. He got his goal, which is why I think he deserves a bit of a higher score than everyone else, albeit it was a bit of a scuffed effort. A bit lucky how it ended up in the back of the net, but nevertheless ended up in the back of the net, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. Positioning himself to receive the ball from Jeremy Doku, really good positioning. Made it easy for Doku, who was stuck at the byline and needed an option. Alvarez gave him that option. 89 minutes played, 59 touches, 91% passing accuracy, which is good. No key passes, 2 shots, 1 of them on target, and it ends up in the back of the net. Lost the ball 9 times. 2 successful dribbles out of 3, and a tackle, 7.5 for Julian Alvarez. Doku, man of the match for me, straight to the score. Let's give him an 8.5. I thought his presence was fantastic in that first half. Everything seems to come through him. I think if you're going to be hypercritical, you want to see those 2 shots that he had that you can see there. You want to see both of them ending up on target. One of them does end up on target. One of them went way wide. You want to see a little bit better end product. There was a couple of times his crosses were just a bit wayward. But, he's getting into these positions, and you can see from his dribbles, 6 dribbles attempts, 5 successful. James Milner was spread on toast yesterday. He was made to look like mincemeat, wasn't he? There was one tackle that Milner seemed to thoroughly enjoy, gave himself a little pat on the back, didn't he, and a cheeky smile to the City fans, celebrating, crunching tackle on Jeremy Doku. But the rest of the game, he was destroyed by Doku. He was humiliated and exposed for the ageing footballer that he is by the young spring chicken of Jeremy Doku, who was fantastic in terms of his dribbling ability. 84% passing accuracy, which is good. 2 key passes and a tackle, and he lost the ball 14 times. In fact, he only played 75 minutes as well, so for him to get these stats in less time than the rest of the team as well, really productive, and the stats are there to back it up. 8.5 for Jeremy Doku. Haaland got his goal, silenced the haters. That's really what we want from him, and it seems to be, if he doesn't score, let's all talk about Erling Haaland. If he scores, all those people who were talking last week, I haven't heard a word about Erling Haaland. Have you heard a thing about Erling Haaland? Nah. No one's talking about him. No one's talking about City right now. Do you know why? It's because we're top of the league again. We've gone back to the boring old formality of Manchester City being top of the league and Erling Haaland scoring goals. Oh, boring. City winning again. Back to the old ways, are we? That little week, an international break. All the headlines. Oh, it's Arsenal. The obsession about Arsenal and dead. Back to normality, aren't we? Erling Haaland, 90 minutes played, 21 touches, 100% passing accuracy, 11 passes, if you're wondering. Still, didn't give one of them away. Really good. No key passes. Won an aerial duel. 2 shots on target from the 2 that he took. Only lost the ball 3 times, and he got a tackle in there as well. The goal, fantastic. Brilliantly taken. Gifted the opportunity from some sloppy play from Belieber in defensive midfield, from a throw-in as well. You can't be giving the ball away in those situations, and Haaland punished them emphatically with a 7.5 to give him on his overall score. Fully deserved. Now onto the substitutes. Jack Grealish, 7.5 for me. What a performance as a substitute in the 15 minutes that he was on the pitch. Let's go straight into those defensive stats as well, because that's what, he didn't win us the game, but he made sure we won the game. Do you know what I mean? The game was won by Alvarez and Haaland, of course. They're the 2 goal scorers, but he comes on and makes sure those 3 points are thrown into the Manchester City bag, with that defensive performance. In 15 minutes, he comes on, gets 2 interceptions, 3 tackles, a clearance, and he only lost the ball once. Passing accuracy of 88%, only 14 touches as well. Brilliant performance. That is a massive substitute appearance. That is really, really good. And maybe that's the type of player we've got now. Someone who can come on to mop up in situations like this. There will be games where he needs to start, in particular scenarios where we need a player that can hold the ball as well as he does. More of a slower-based, possession-based performance rather than gung-ho, attacking and high-risk. Jeremy Doku is high-risk footballer, isn't he? Because he does give it away and he does have end product that's sometimes lacking, but there are games that suit that and there are games that don't suit that, where we don't want to be susceptible to counter-attacks. And Jack Grealish's performance was fantastic in that little 15-minute cameo. Now to the other 2 substitutions. Ruben Diaz was the other one who came on with Jack Grealish. Not much to talk about, really, from Ruben Diaz. Had very little to do defensively. As you can see, there's only 1 clearance to his name, but he passed it to a flawless standard of 100%. 12 touches, but little to talk about. Comes on with a 6, leaves with a 6. Same for Nathan Ake. Absolutely zeros across the board. Not even a single touch to his name. In the 1 minute that he played, 6 score for Nathan Ake, who, there you go, did nothing, absolutely nothing to his name. But yeah, overall, it was a good day. I think the performance in the first half was, as I highlighted with the stats, really, really good. We've just got to maintain that over the course of 90 minutes now, because I think there were moments in that game in the second half that we could have been punished more. We could be coming away with a point here. Had Matoma taken his chance, had Pascal Gross taken his chance, and on another day they could have gone in the back of the net. So warning signs were there going into future games that we must come out of the second half without too much complacency or bordering on ignorance and arrogance to think that the game's done. The game was not done at 2-0. We needed to go and get a third and really finish the game, and then you can go into cruise control. But after that, that's when, you need to show assertiveness, and defensive performances like Jack Grealish is what you needed to see. And that performance alone in the second half is why I think we came away from 3 points. So well done, Jack Grealish, for his second half performance. But the overall team performance in the second half, brilliant. More of that, but over the 90 minutes next time. And that next time, obviously, young boys, I'll be doing a watch along for that, so come and join me for that. I'll also be doing a watch along for the Manchester derby, which is next weekend. Cannot wait for that one. There's a little part of me that shits myself for every Manchester derby, but still, I'm feeling good about this one. I'm hoping we can go to Old Trafford and get some revenge for that unbelievably shocking decision for the Marcus Rashford offside goal that should never have stood in a million years. Hopefully we can get some revenge for that. We already did, to be fair, with a treble and an FA Cup final beating, so we already have done that. But let's go and do it on their turf at the Swamp. Blues, what do you think about the player ratings? What do you think about the overall performance from Manchester City, as well as the stats in the first half compared to the second half? Please do drop a like on the video. It really does help with the algorithm and all that YouTube nonsense. It really does help. Please do, if you can. Get in the comments below. I really want to hear your thoughts. Drop a like as well. Like and subscribe. Typical City is the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now, holding up silver.